I'm here with fellow legend, world champion, Gary Leffew, and we're here helping out the kids. It's all about the kids this weekend, isn't it?
Oh yeah, man! I tell you what, this is cool. This is really cool.
Yeah. What do you think about when you watch these guys and you've got your hot man team here, some young bull riders been through your program? What do you think about the future of bull riding?
Well, I tell you what, it looks good right now. These kids they're really motivated, and this is a hell of a program. The real problem is after this, at this level, to go to that next level, it's real tough for some kids to get when you get into them tougher bulls and that power, they start overwhelming them with too much power, especially in high school rodeo. And a lot of kids I find do not even start riding bulls till they enter high school rodeo. And then they maybe been on 10 bulls and they go to at a practice bin someplace, or maybe less, and they go to a rodeo or a high school rodeo and they're getting on an NFR bull, And I've been after them for a long time to have two divisions. If you've been on 100 bulls or less, you're in Division 1. And they bring bulls that suit that type till those kids get enough experience that they can move to that next level. Should not let the kids go to the finals. They don't need to be at the finals anyway because they're not at that level yet. The kids riding at the higher level, riding better bulls, then they go to the finals. They're going to get on some good bulls there. But we need a grassroots program once you get to high school rodeo to kind of help them kids get along there to where they get enough bulls under their belt at a lower level and get enough experience that they can move on to that upper level.
You didn't get started till you were 18?
I was 19. I was almost 20 by the time I got on a bull.
What was it like for you your first few years riding bulls?
Well, as I started asking questions, and I used to wrestle, and I was real good at it, and so everything we did in wrestling, we had drills, so I kept asking, where's the drills, and the guys just said, get on, stick your chest out, and lift on your rope and try, and all the old timers said, you're going to have to get on about 100 bulls, before everything starts to feel at home. You'll learn something whether you ride them or not on every one, because you learn by feel and rhythm and the rhythm and flow that you pick up with it. You might be 2 seconds and that felt good and then everything falls apart, but your mind will remember that 2 seconds and try to take you back there and add to it, and the mind's called a servo mechanism. That's how we learn through trial and error, and it kicks out the errors and focuses on the positive. So my first goal to get on 100 bulls. So every weekend when I got off work, then I went somewhere, no matter how far I had to drive, I'd go to practice pen, and I would get on not one bull, but I'd get on 5 one day and come back and get on 5 the next day if my body would help me. The other guys come out and get on one bull. Right. That's going to take you a long time to get to 100 bulls,
Yeah.
So by the time I got to 100 bulls, it was just about a year. And in fact, it was a year to the weekend that I got on that first bull, and I went Redding, California, which is one of the top 25 rodeos in the country, on an NFR bull called Geronimo. And a year and 2 months, I come within a second of winning Salinas. The bull reversed it on me, and he was number 2 bull in the world. But I won Great Falls. I was on my vacation to see if I was good enough to quit or stay a little longer, and I win Great Falls. After that, come home, quit my job, and I placed a 10 in a row, and then I never looked back.
You bet. So you touched on it a little bit. Gary and I, we both have a similar mentality. Bull riding is 90% mental and the rest is in your head.
Oh, yeah, the rest is in your head.
So when you were, like you said, you placed it 10 in a row, and the year you won the finals and the year you won the world, like what are some of those core fundamentals that you had in place that helped lead to your success?
Well, I think when I first started, all I dreamed about, and there's no saying in positive thinking is you become what you think about, So as a young kid, what I seen in rodeo was my future, my life. It was more of a lifestyle than just the thrill of riding bulls. I wanted to travel. I wanted to live that romantic lifestyle that the rodeo cowboys live. And I mean, I've done it all ever since then, but there's not a better lifestyle than what the rodeo cowboy lives. So I was enamored with it. I eat, lived, and breathed it 24 hours a day, and because that's all I thought about, that's what I became. So a lot of guys thought I'd come along pretty quick, but I took a lot of beatings getting there. I was just determined. Determination. Will find ability. It just overrides everything else. You just got to keep trying. And once I got there, my third year out, I made the NFR, ended up 10th for the world. Then I had the best lesson in how the mind works. The next 6 months, I got married, I had a kid on the way, and I started to worry, what will happen if I don't win? What will happen if I don't make enough money to support a family? And what you worry about is what you program into your mind. And I went 6 months and never stayed on a bull, so what the hell changed there, That's when I read Psycho-Cybernetics, and Psycho-Cybernetics, the word cybernetics means the study of machinery. Psycho means the machinery between our ears. So for the first time in my life, school never taught me how the mind works and how to use it for you, and it should be taught from kindergarten on. This is how your mind works, this is how you program it, and this is how you get it. But it's almost like in schools we're taught to be worker bees,
Right.
and we should be all taught to be entrepreneurs, and the country be a lot farther ahead. But once I read that book, I just sat up in bed and started laughing, because I seen everything that was going on in my life was all self-inflicted by my own mind. But the light at the end of the tunnel was it's going to take 21 days to change any habits that I'd got into different habits, So I took a couple of months off and started doing visualization. Every morning I'd get up before the sun would come up when I had total quiet, and I would do these visualization exercises and see myself riding and winning and achieving my goals, And anything that you repetitiously run through the mind will eventually believe, So I just kept running that through there, and then in training to go to Denver, the only bulls I had to get on, because I didn't have a ranch, I didn't have anything at that time, is I was a rancher in Cambria, California, charged me $1 a head to get on his Hereford bulls, and I'd go up there and get on 8 or 10 every time I got up there. So I rode about 50 or 60 Hereford bulls that anybody could ride, but it was just the feeling of a big mushy bull under me is a feeling of success. And when I went to Denver, I was 1 point off the all-time record, and I went by 3 months before they throwed me off, and I went all the way to runner-up for the World Championship that year behind what I feel like is the greatest bull rider I've ever seen, the great George Paul. He just, unfortunately, he was a great rider, but not a great pilot. He could fly a plane, but you don't get in a plane and set it on autopilot and go to sleep. And he was bad about doing that, and that ended up costing him his life, But you talk about put a guy on a bull, you could not ride any better than that guy ride, or any better athlete. And so I role modeled him. I copied him, his style of riding, and so I would watch him intensely. And then when I'd visualize, I'd see myself as George Paul. When I nodded my head, I wasn't Gary Leffew, I was George Paul. It's like, you become what you think about. So I thought, well, all I thought about was George Paul. And so I wanted to runner up for the World Championship behind him. He won the finals, I won second,
Yeah.
So wasn't a bad guy to be second behind,
Right.
Then I was third the next year behind Larry Mahan and Doug Brown. Would have been second, but Doug Brown won it that year, got really hot. Was probably a little mathematically out of my league to catch him. So I went home, won my circuit championship, won a buckle, $2,500 bonus in the saddle. Then I rode the bull of the year, the 10th round at the finals. Really got my motor running, reset my goals for 70, come back, win the NFR, win the World Championship, the whole ball of wax. I achieved my goals. The next year, I dropped all the way to 13th place, because when you don't write your goals down, you become what Zig Ziglar calls a wandering generality, instead of a meaningful specific, so it took me about a year and a half. I was getting injured, I wasn't riding good, I wondered what the hell was wrong. One day one of the kids said, hey, you're telling us set our goals, write our goals, what's your goals? I said, I haven't written a goal down since 1970. I sit down with a year and a half gone, wrote a goal down, goal to win the world with a year and a half gone. When I cracked back out, that's when I had a shirt that said, I am hot,
Yep.
And the reason that I used that, because Muhammad Ali was around then, and all you heard out of Muhammad Ali's mouth was, I'm the greatest, I'm the greatest. And anything that you say to yourself over and over again, not only will you believe, but the public will start to believe it also, So I started in positive thinking, they say, fake it until you make it. Just act as if you're the person that you want to be, you know. So I was just playing a game, I was Dale Brisby, I was just having me some fun,
Man,
So
worse for me,
yeah, hell yeah. So so I come in behind the chutes with that hot man shirt on, and the Cowboys, they go, hey Leffew, what's with that shirt? I said, can't you read? I am hot. Which part of that don't you understand?
Pretty simple.
Yeah,
Pretty
simple stuff, I said, they said, what do you got drawn? I said, don't matter. If I got him, he's the one to have.
Yeah.
And they said, well, not this piece of junk. I said, boys, don't give this bull a bad self-image. Hot man got him, he's going to buck,
Yeah.
And I really didn't know what I was doing then, but I always stood in front of my chute, and I visualized the perfect scenario. This bull is supposed to waller out through there. He's going to turn back right here. I'm going to ride him, and I'm going to be out here, my hands in the air, pointing to that I am hot shirt that I pulled over my riding shirt. That bull turned back right there. I win the bull riding, and I'm out there like this.
Dang.
So the next time I show up, they go, "What do you got this time?" I said, "It don't matter. I got him. He's one to have." He turns back. I win it again. I went from nowhere in the standings, nothing won, to runner-up for the World Championship in 2.5 months. Flew by the competition like they were standing still. It's one of the hottest streaks probably ever in the history of the game. But there again, it proves if you set a goal and you start having fun,
Right.
you start, just like everything you do, you have fun with it. That's why everyone wants to be Dale Brisby, because you're cool, man.
Yes, sir. Well,
you need to teach a cool school.
There you go.
Dale Brisby's cool school.
Go to Gary Leffew's bull riding school, and then go to Dale Brisby's cool school, or one of the
Oh
other.
man, yeah, that would be. We need to get together. We just I'm going to send you over to Dale Brisby's cool school.
Bull school and cool school.
That's it.
Yeah. So you say you modeled after George Paul.
Yes.
And so many of y'all out there modeling after me.
Yeah.
But if you could pick another bull rider, young guys coming up right now, or who do you think out there is really kind of exemplifying a lot of these things that you're talking about?
Well, Sage Kimsey, he come to 4 of my schools,
Yep.
so he's a poster child for what we teach, and who else won $1 million last year?
That's wild.
Just to win $1 million in 1 year. I mean, when you win the PBR, it takes 10 years to get your million.
Right.
They give you $100,000 a year, but he put $1 million in the bank last year, and I mean, he rides so perfect. He gets his get-offs are legendary. I mean, he can get off weight with his hand in his hand, always gets that hip, land on his feet out there, just does everything perfect. Jess Lockwood's another one, and Jess, he rides just like we teach, and I send stuff to him every once in a while. I'll post something, and he always thanks me,
Yep.
But he kind of grew up around Matt Triplett, and Matt come to two of my son Brett's schools, and Brett was an excellent teacher, and so I think that style of riding, he rides the same style that Matt does, and Matt learned it from my son Brett, who taught Luke Snyder and L.J. Jenkins, and both of those win the PBR finals when they were just turned 18. They were still in high school.
Yeah.
So it's a style of riding up on your legs like jumping horse riders. When I started teaching, because everything was on the unconscious side of the mind, it's hard to break down what's going on a second at a time in your conscious mind, but over here on the unconscious, it works at the speed of light, and it's processing 1 billion pieces of information per second. So a lot of really good riders have a hard time, and I had a hard time breaking down what's going on over there, So I had to get really sophisticated slow motion stuff and start really breaking down these good riders. But it all started when my daughter started taking jumping horse lessons. And that art form has been around for thousands of years. And so when I started to watch what they were teaching there, I said, that's what I need to be teaching in my bull riding school. So I bought a jumping horse, I started taking lessons, and everything I learned from the jumping horse world is I transferred over to the bull riding world, and we just been turning out one world champion after another.
You bet.
But it's just all basic fundamentals and basic physics.
So walk me through, just to talk a little bit more about your school. Gary obviously has some bull riding schools. That how long have you been doing them? And then if you would, just kind of walk me through what a kid might experience at a school.
Well, I did my first school in 1969, so I've been at it for a long time. And but when a kid comes, Depending on his experience, you know, and pretty much I tell them when they get there, throw out everything you think you know about bull riding, you know, because it's probably wrong, you know. And we're going to start you all over. We're going to break you down and start you from the basic fundamentals of just basic physics of riding bulls, you know. And I'm going to, and so I use a lot of really slow motion, and I have a whole, you know, breakdown of all these legendary champions, of slowing them down, and I'll even put them sometimes side by side to this champion jumping horse rider, and you'll see their mechanics are identical, you know, because his ass comes up out of the saddle and goes up in front of the saddle as the horse jumps, like a 6-foot jump. There's a girl in New Zealand that runs down there with no bridle, has her hands out like this, and goes over 6-foot jumps, bareback, you know.
Dang.
Moves up on that front end, holds that daylight, sets her hips, you know. She's amazing, you know. But what she's doing is the same thing we need to be doing in bull riding, you know. It's up on your legs. You get down on your butt, you slide back, that kick hits you, you get blowed out of there, you know. So everyone that's teaching lift on your rope on the jump is setting you down and sliding you back, you know, and that's a rough place to ride. You know, ride up on those legs, and everywhere you're going, they're carrying you on their legs. It's like you get in your saddle. If your stirrups are too long, horse turns, you're gonna fall out of it, you know. So you adjust your stirrups, or you move up, get a little daylight under your ass, and you got total control of your horse. Same way the bull riding is. Just when you move up on those legs, you know, they're carrying you wherever they're going, you know. So
Yes, sir.
very simple. Then the game's very mental too, you know. When if you're a bull riding coach, you know, you got to teach fundamentals, but you also got to teach the mental side of the game, you know, because 90% of what you're dealing with at that rodeo is not the bull, it's other people's opinion of the bull, you know. And you get there and they start going, there's 25 guys behind the chute. Oh, you got him? Oh boy, let me tell you about him. This sonbuck is bad, boy, man. He's killed 10 guys, and you're gonna be number 11. You know, they're just, you know. So they get you so psyched out before you get on, you know. And another thing I tell these guys, I say, 90% of those guys are riding incorrect. So what they're telling you is true if you ride that style of riding.
Right.
But if you ride my style of riding, you got nothing to worry about.
Matter.
You know?
Yeah.
It's like Justin McBride. He was getting on Rampage when he was jerking everybody down, and they had $70,000 bonus on the ride. And Paramedic says, you know, you got the baddest bull in the PBR. What do you think? He says, it's moments like that I dream about every day. You know, this is what I do this for. And he said, besides, I ride a different style than these other guys. You know,
Yeah.
I don't think I got anything to worry about. You know, and you knew at that second he was going to get out in front of that rope, ride that bull, and he did. You know, so. You know, so you just, you know, and that's life, you know, and if you hang around the naysayers, you know, they're going to tell you all the reasons why you can't succeed, and you hang around usually about the 2%, you know,
Right.
that think right, you know, they're going to tell you can, you know, but they're, you know, like I was talking to Sage, and he said, yeah, there's only about 2% of the people out there that really think like I do, you know. He said
Right.
the rest of them are all, you know, that mediocre thinking will really pull you back. Rob Smets, he puts it really good. He said, when I went to Northwest and went crabbing, when you catch that first crab, you throw him in that crab bucket, you got to watch him because he'll crawl out of there. But once you throw another one in there, you ain't got no worries, because if that one tries to crawl out, the other will pull him back. You know.
Yep.
And then when you get more in there, they won't let none of them go out. They want to pull you back in there. And that's how life is when you try to reach for the stars, everybody down here is trying to pull you back. They don't want you to get better than them. They don't want you to excel. So they'll tell you all the reasons why you can't do it, you know. So there's a lot to, you know, to deal with when you're trying to ride bulls, and most of it's other people's opinions. You know.
It's funny, you know, there's some people say, I've heard somebody say once that those just outstanding individuals, and we were talking specifically about rodeo, a lot of people label them as weird,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
and out there, and so, but it's really just abnormal, you know, because if they were average, they wouldn't, you know, they'd fit right in, nobody'd think it was weird.
Yeah. You're always, you know, you're out there in a league of your own. You know, when you have to think different. You have to run with winners. Have to run with winners. You know, if you go to, you know, there's a different mindset there. You know, we were talking about opinions a while ago. Henny Youngman used to have a good saying. He said, take my girlfriend. I think she's beautiful. She's wonderful. I got a high opinion of her. My wife has a different opinion. You know? So you got to be careful of opinions. You know? You're going to get a different one everywhere you go.
Yeah, that'd get her in trouble. I got one last question. It's just Thinking about rodeoing and talking about that specifically, you know, you go to a lot of performances throughout the year. Um, and talking about your mindset and riding 10 in a row, and then what do you would say to somebody that's wanting to rodeo full time and get on a lot of bulls, as far as their mentality when they may have an off night, coming back, you know, trying to get back on top mentally before the Friday night perf or the Saturday night perf, like shaking that off and just that mental battle.
You know, I think one thing to understand is bull riding's getting like baseball. You know, if you ride one every third time, you make $1 million, you know. But like Sage says, I set a goal every year to ride 70% of my bulls. He said, if somebody can beat that, they can have that gold buckle, you know.
Yeah.
But that's a lot of bulls anymore, because there's a lot of ranked bulls out there, and you're not going to get the whistle every time. I mean, you're up against a good athlete, you know. Sage says when he gets there and pats that bull on the hump when he gets in there, he said, buddy, we're two balls of energy going in the same direction, you know. And I'm going to be going at you, and you're going to be going at me, and somebody's going to win, you know. I hope it's me,
Right.
you know. But, you know, it's, you know, one little mistake, you know, them animals today, and you're bucked off, you know. So there's no, but, you know, so you're going to get your butt bucked off. So what do? You know, Donnie Gay says, you never want to be around me, you know, for about 5 minutes after I get bucked off, because I'm going to vent. And venting is good, but you don't want to vent for a week. You know, you want to get it out right there, and then before you roll up your rope bag, mentally run that bull back in, ride him to the point where you made the mistake, and correct it. Visualize the perfect, you know, riding through the mistake, doing it correct. Your mind will remember the last thing you put in it, you know. So you don't want to be dwelling on the mistake. Dwell on, you know, the correction. You know. He said, and once I roll up my rope bag, I do not think about that ride again. I'm off to the next one. I'm focused on where I'm going and what I'm doing. And when I run into that situation again, my mind will correct it automatically at the speed of light, processing that billion pieces of information per second. You know, and that comes from an 8-time world champion.
Yes, sir. That sounds like something to convert that into any event, and then also into life.
Oh, definitely, because, you know, you're gonna make some mistakes. One of my students, he bucked off the other day, and Shane Proctor, who's, you know, one of my students, former world champion and a great philosopher, he said, hey, you know, if you ride 50% of your bulls, you're going to make the NFR. So, you know, just know you're going to get bucked off, and don't take it so damn hard, you know. But correct it in your mind and then go on. But don't let it get to your attitude, because what your attitude's like on the next one is going to determine how good you do.
Yes, sir.
So you got to slough it off, pick your head up, and go to that next one like you're going to win first.
Any final words for bull riders or rodeo cowboys out there?
Well, the best I can say is don't listen to the naysayers. Is go around to the yaysayers. You know, hang around winners, and keep a good attitude. If you got your attitude right, and I would say you probably want to get. I got a tape out that I made in the '70s. I made more millionaires and more world champions with that tape than anything I ever done. It's called Shootin' the Bull. I lost it for years because it was on cassettes. Probably the same one you listened to. I remember you said you listened to one. And I started sending out the energy to find that tape again. And all of a sudden, I run into a guy at my party at the finals this year, and he says, you know, I listened to that tape, and I had success in rodeo, but I had a lot of success after rodeo in business. And he said, I said, well, I've been trying to get that tape. He said, I digitized, I got it. So he sent me a digitized version. We redid the tapes, and, you know, CDs now.
Right.
And man, everybody's just blown away by it. You know?
Where can we get those?
Gary Leffew's BullRidingWorld.com. Gary Leffew's Bullriding with an S. Gary Leffew's BullRidingWorld.com. And yeah, it's called Shootin' the Bull. Best thing I've ever done.
You bet. We'll look it up.
Thanks,
you,
buddy.
Gary. Really fun. Good to hang out with you this weekend. On to the next one, old son.